Hey, this is Awesome Bach here with another battle report. This one is between my Dark Elves versus the Lizardmen. I finally took my Dark Elves out for the first time for 8th edition since they had their new book redone. And here is the deployment after the Vanguard moves. I had rolled off first to get the Vanguard, so I moved up my Dark Riders there on the left. And my opponent's army consists of the Pterodons on the left, the unit of 40 skinks in the middle there with a skink priest behind him. He's a level 2 with beasts. I know he knows wisdoms, and the other spell that gives +3 toughness to a single character, or you can buff it up to all the characters within, I think, 12 or 24 inches. And he's got his unit of Saurus Warriors, and I believe there's about 22 in there, if I'm not mistaken. And he has his BSB in there, who has the War Banner, and he also has an Old Blood who has the Crown of Command, which I later find out. And down on my screen in the lower right for my army, I have a unit of 14. I know they changed the name of this, but I'm so used to them. They're the Crossbows with full command, and they have a level 2 Supreme Sorceress from the Dark Elf lore. Alright, and this here is the right side of the board. Here in the lower left I have my Executioners. It's 25, and I have a Master in there. Just kitted out defensively with, heavy armor, dragon cloak, shield, and he has Sword of Might. And those other horses there, the 5, are my Doomfire Warlocks. And that's their Vanguard move. And you can see his Saurus Warriors and his get a better picture of that unit here on the screen. So here's an overview of the board after the Vanguard move. My opponent, he elected not to Vanguard with his Pterodons because just in proximity wise he couldn't keep the 12-inch distance there from the Dark Riders. So turn 1 went to the Lizardmen, and he ended up flying over my Dark Riders and drop rocks, and he's able to kill 2 of them. And I did pass my panic check on them. Otherwise, he moves up pretty aggressively with the skinks. I believe he marched up the full movement. And the Saurus Warriors, he didn't march up their full movement, just because he did not want to open up his flank to the Doomfire Warlocks. And he also just moved his skink out of the way, just for line of sight purpose, didn't want to be able to be targeted out. And he was able to cast Wisdoms up on his skinks, just to buff them up so that way they could have the higher toughness for the crossbow fire. And then it goes to Dark Elves. So I just turned around with my Dark Riders, that way I could potentially, I'm just going to shoot the Pterodons there. And I figured I'd keep them busy instead of letting them run at the flank of my crossbowmen. And I moved the Doomfire Warlocks up to flank him. Otherwise, I feel I have, range game at my advantage. With the crossbows, the Sorceress, who actually has a Power Stone, and the Doomfire Warlocks, which actually is a level 2 wizard. So I believe this one I took the pictures out of order, but this is just after shooting. I had killed did 1 wound on the Pterodon. Yeah, this was a picture of the miscast. I got Irresistible Force with the higher level of Doombolt from the Supreme Sorceress, and she was targeting the sword. And there's a picture of the Saurus Warriors. Ended up taking out 7 Saurus Warriors. And yeah, that was a big surprise to my opponent. And just from shooting, I was able to pick off 4 skinks with the crossbows. So then Lizardman turn 2. I actually totally forgot about the movement of the skinks, and they were able to charge my crossbowmen. I stood and shot. It only killed like another 4 or 3 guys. So no panic there, and pretty much anticipating losing my sorceress and my crossbows now. Otherwise, the Saurus Warriors just move up because I believe they had to roll double sixes in order to actually make a charge on the Executioners. And the Pterodons just go flying around to the other side once again, and they are trying to throw javelins and that at me. And yes, the Skinks come in there and puts the maximum amount of attacks he could on the Sorceress, who already had a wound from miscasting, was ended up able to kill her. And then just, you figure they're Skinks, but with all those massive attacks, they do get through, and he annihilates the crossbows, and they run off the board, and so does he. I should say that the crossbows were actually caught, and he ran off the board and destroyed them. So then Dark Elf's turn 2, so I decide the Saurus Warriors is, good amount depleted. My Sorceress isn't around, so I can't really do that. My shooting's gone, so I'll charge in. So I charge in with the Executioners in the front, and I charge in with the Doomfire Warlocks in the rear. Yeah, they did make it in. We just put it over there for, the magnets on the bases would get all haywire, so we just left them back there. And I was able to cast Soul Blight with them on the Saurus Warriors, so they're -1 strength and toughness. And after that, I did try to put attacks on his characters and was not able to get through with anything. And this here is also the Dark Riders. These pitches are out of order. Sorry about that, but these, they just turned around and tried shooting again, and with the javelins he's able to kill one more off it. So after combat, that's what it looks like. He was able to kill off 4 of the Warlocks in the back, and he didn't do that much damage to the Executioners, but I couldn't get anything through on his characters. And Lizardmen turn 3, he actually charges in at my Dark Riders, which was a pretty good idea, because the shooting game wasn't really doing much for either one of us. And then here, this is actually Lizardmen turn 3, so he comes on board with his Skinks, ready to give a rear charge to my Executioners. And yeah, when he comes on, I actually was able to get a killing blow attack off on his BSB and kill him and kill some more of the unit, and I did lose the Warlock. So the soul actually went away and he had wisdoms on him at that point. And then I missed taking a picture there, but there was my round of combat for the Dark Elves, and I was able to kill off the rest of the Saurus Warriors, and his Old Blood actually, he held. He did take a wound though, and he has Crown to Command, that's how I found out, and he ended up holding. So then when it came to Lizardmen's turn, he just charged the Skinks in the rear, and yeah, so they're pretty much done. Yep, so the Skinks come in, they wipe up the Executioners, and from combat, he killed one of the Dark Riders and he ended up running, and then when it came to my turn, I couldn't rally him and he ran off the board. So the Dark Elves got tabled by turn 4. But, yep, it's my first game with them, so, with the new edition, so I wasn't really sure how to really work with them yet, but all in all, it was pretty fun trying to figure out how they work and that, and a pretty small point game to get it done fairly quickly. And that is it.